All right, Nick, let's talk about the belle of the ball, the team holding the first overall pick in the NFL draft, none other than the Carolina Panthers. There's a lot of news swirling around. There's a lot of smoke screens. Any kind of thing you could imagine has been said about who the Panthers are going to pick. But today, we have a story about a prospect that the Panthers found very, very intriguing.
Yeah, Miles, I think it's a very interesting report that you found and dug up that I think Panthers fans will be very excited to hear more about. But before we get into that, Carolina fans, we want to hear from you guys, as always, in the comment section below. Obviously, y'all got the number one overall pick. A lot of pundits, a lot of talking heads on TV are projecting who the Panthers are going to pick. We know you guys are really plugged in as the fans. You have the good insights and opinions. That's why we're curious who you think the Carolina Panthers should take at number one overall. And we want to hear who that person is in the comment section below. And make sure you stick around to the end of this video to hear a special offer for the partner of today's video, Neuro. But all right, Miles, what you got? What's the latest out of Charlotte?
Yeah, Nick, I love Neuro. I just took some gum to get ready for the podcast. It really gets me going. But you know what else gets me going is talking about who teams are going to pick in the draft, speculating. There's all kinds of rumors going around. But what I really like to dig into is the facts and what people are actually saying. And I have a story today about the Panthers and who they decided, or what are they factoring in when they decide on picking the number one overall pick. We all know it's going to be a quarterback. Everyone thinks it's either going to be CJ Stroud, probably Bryce Young in there as well. And I have this story, Nick, and I'm going to get into the quote here, that is why Bryce Young may be a more favorable option for the Panthers than people are thinking. And here's the first quote, okay? It says, "I think Bryce Young, everything I've heard about Young as a kid is A++. His OC from Alabama, Bill O'Brien, told teams in the fall that he has never had a player like Young, and O'Brien has even coached Tom Brady. Scouts will tell you his accuracy, instincts, pocket movement, and football IQ, competitive and toughness are all A+. I've also heard he absolutely blew away Carolina coach Frank Reich when they sat down and just talked football." So, Nick, those are all the things you want to hear about a guy. And these are the things that have been mimicked about Bryce Young all season long. The only knock on him is that he may be a little bit undersized, but now after the draft, he weighed in at 204, so 5'10", 204. How much of that was actual weight versus water weight? That's something to be discussed at a later date. But I don't think when you have all of this good information about Young and how positive he is in every other aspect of the game, it's kind of hard to ignore that. What do you think about these comments on Bryce Young, Nick?
Miles, who said that? Was that Albert Breer, right? That's who pulled that report.
Yes.
Yeah. So Breer, for people who aren't familiar, he's a really good insider, right? He's not one of these jokers on Twitter or one of these guys just trying to get clicks or likes or things like that, trying to get eyeballs on his Twitter feed. He's a dedicated NFL insider who has connections basically in every NFL organization. And I think it's really interesting, Miles, when he said the Panthers internally are blown away. Because this time of year, we hear coaches and GMs all the time, mainly coaches, they throw up all these smoke screens, right? They always go in front of the media, whether it's at a press conference or an interview, and they hype up every player in the draft to kind of, throw up a smoke screen so that way other teams don't know where they're heading. The Panthers didn't seem to do that with Bryce Young, right? They've been very high on guys like Anthony Richardson. Publicly, Frank Reich had an entire paragraph essentially saying how great he thought Richardson was. Obviously, they've been linked to saying some really nice things about some other guys as well. The only story about Frank Reich's connection to Bryce Young is when Reich said a few weeks ago that he was not going to rule out drafting Bryce Young because he was 5'10". That's it. The only public mention that I could find of Frank Reich and Bryce Young was Reich saying he wouldn't rule out drafting him. Minus the fact that he's not coming out very publicly talking about how much he loves the kid, and it has to be from an insider who has sources internal to the organization, makes me think the Panthers are really all in on this guy. They just don't want to show their cards. They're trying to lay out all smoke screens for some other guys, especially that these reports are coming out after the Richardson pro day, right? It's kind of the timing and context of it. Everyone fell in love with Richardson and how he looked throwing the football. But here you have Bryce Young, internal to the Panthers organization. Everyone seems blown away by him instead. I think that's an indicator, Miles. I think Carolina is looking directly at Bryce Young to be their guy. And I think that would be a great pickup for him.
Yeah, and then to go on exactly what you said, that tertiary source giving information, not coming directly from the mouth. Team staff writer Augusta Sohn talked to GM Scott Fitterer, and this is what he said that Fitterer said. He held court, Fitterer said to Stone, of their Wednesday night dinner. He was so well-spoken, so well thought out. When he talked about his preparation, when he talked about how he studies the game, He sees the game at a different level. He's already at the NFL level, and that is great to see. There's no moment that seems too big for him. Like, he can walk into any environment and be in total control. And that's huge to hear, Nick, because Bryce Young is just 21 years old. You know, if you or I, imagine walking into a room of like grown men in the NFL, having to take control of a situation when you're just 21 years old. It takes a special kind of guy, a special kind of leader. So I think that was very, very interesting that Young seems just mentally and football-wise, physically, to be an elite level talent.
All right, Miles, we would like to give a special thanks to our partner today's video, Neuro.
That's right, Nick. And I want you to go with me on a journey really fast. I want you to imagine this. It's 4th and goal in the big game, Nick. Your team is relying on you to make the big-time game-winning play. I know you've been in this situation before, Nick. The stadium is roaring. The clock is ticking. The game is on the line. But if only in that moment you were able to have some Neuro Gum. Neuro Gum will help you stay concentrated, and it gives you a burst of energy without a nasty crash.
That's right, Miles. Neuro has thoughtfully curated ingredients and does endless lab testing, which means that you can reach the right state of mind safely and consistently. That's the most important part. It gives you a clean burst of energy and focus without the jitters of coffee or any of those other energy drinks.
That's right, Nick. And if you click our sponsor link in the description below, you can enjoy energy, calm, and focus whenever you need it.